We've got good news and bad news for you. The good news is that there are some rules about stress in English. The bad news is that the rules don't cover everything, and even the rules which you do have don't work all the time. Here's one rule which is quite useful. It's about words with 2 syllables. Look at 5 words. Picture, minute, money, doctor, water. All these words have 2 syllables. Where's the stress? In all the words, the stress is on the first syllable. There's a reason for this. Can you work it out? What connects these 5 words?
These words are all nouns. Nouns with 2 syllables usually have stress on the first syllable. Let's practice saying the words together. Repeat after me. Picture, minute, money, doctor, water. This is also true for most adjectives with 2 syllables. Happy, yellow, useful, formal, tiring.
What about verbs? Look at some examples and try and work out the rule. Decide, forget, explain, arrive, repeat. Can you hear the stress? The stress is on the second syllable. Let's practice saying the words together. Repeat after me. Decide, forget, explain, arrive, repeat.
Most nouns and adjectives with 2 syllables have the stress on the first syllable, and most verbs have the stress on the second syllable. Be careful, because there are many common exceptions, like hotel, happen, exam, or finish. What about longer words? Are there any rules you can use to find the stress?
In 3-syllable words, the stress can be anywhere. It can be at the beginning, anyone, beautiful, possible.
It can be in the middle, computer, tomorrow, expensive.
It can also be at the end, although this is less common. Afternoon, employee, Japanese. Let's practice. Repeat after me. Beautiful, tomorrow, employee.
Let's try 3 more. Anyone, computer, Japanese. In words with 4 or more syllables, the stress is almost always in the middle of the word, not on the first or last syllable. For example, information, communicate, photographer. Try saying the words after me. Information, communicate, photographer.
There are some other rules which can help you to find the stress in longer words. Let's look together. If a word ends in tion, sion, or cian, then the stress is always on the second to last syllable. Information, discussion, politician. Can you think of 3 more words like this?
There are many, but here are 3 more suggestions. Situation, revision, electrician. The same rule is true for words ending ic. Economic, dramatic, Atlantic, scientific. Again, all these words have the stress on the second last syllable.
If a word ends with the letter Y and has 3 or more syllables, then the stress is 2 syllables before the last one. For example, biology, luckily, activity, possibility. That means if a word has 3 syllables and ends in Y, the stress is almost always on the first syllable. Chemistry, pregnancy, robbery.
There's one more rule which could help you here. If a longer word is made from a shorter root word, then the stress is generally in the same place as the root word. For example, comfort, comfortable, discomfort, uncomfortable, comfortably, comforting. In all these words, the stress is in the same place as the root word, comfort.
However, the rules you saw before take priority. This means that the stress can move when you make a longer word from a root word. For example, photograph, photography, photographic, economy, economic, educate, education.
Want to know a secret that will improve your English pronunciation really fast? Here's the most important point about word stress. It's about contrast. That means when you pronounce word stress, it's not just about the stressed syllable. You also need to think about the unstressed syllables. Remember that to pronounce stress, you make the stressed syllable louder, higher, and longer.
Stress is about contrast. So the opposite is true for unstressed syllables. You need to make them quieter, lower, and shorter. Let's look at 3 words you've already practiced. Banana, person, information. To pronounce the words well, you need to think about the unstressed syllables too. Often, the vowel sounds in the unstressed syllables are reduced to schwa sounds, or short I sounds.
Reduced means the vowel sounds are shorter and weaker. For example, in the word banana, the stress is on the second syllable. Banana. The stressed A has an R sound, but the other 2 A's have schwa sounds. Banana. In the word person, the first syllable is stressed, and the second syllable has a schwa sound. Person. And in information, the syllables before and after the stressed syllable reduce to schwas. Information.
Unstressed syllables can't always be reduced, but they often can be. If a vowel sound is reduced, it most often shortens to a schwa sound. We'll finish with a simple tip to help you pronounce word stress clearly and naturally. Focus on the stressed syllable and put more stress on it than you think you need. Pronounce the unstressed syllables as fast as you can. If you do this, you'll have contrast in your pronunciation, and this will make your word stress sound natural and clear.
The difference between content words and grammar words is the foundation of sentence stress. Content words are usually stressed, and grammar words are usually unstressed. Listen and try and hear the stress. How about we go for a coffee this afternoon?
Listen again. How about we go for a coffee this afternoon? Can you read the sentence with the stress? Repeat after me. How about we go for a coffee this afternoon?
Do it one more time. How about we go for a coffee this afternoon? Let's look at one more example sentence. My phone's broken, so I'm going to buy a new one. Which words do you think are content words and which words are grammar words? Before you answer, you should know one important point. Sentence stress is flexible, and the line between content words and grammar words isn't fixed. So the answers we show you are just the most probable ones. There are other possibilities. So, think about your sentence and which words you think are content words or grammar words. Pause the video if you want more thinking time.
Ready? Here's our suggestion. Again, think about it like this. If you hear the content words, you can understand the meaning of the sentence. Phone broken, going buy new one. If you hear only the grammar words, it doesn't make any sense at all. My, so, I'm, to, By the way, this idea can also really help your English listening. You can see that you don't need to hear every word to understand the meaning of a sentence. If you focus on listening to the stressed words, you can understand someone's meaning, even if you don't hear the unstressed grammar words. Anyway, let's practice this sentence. Can you say the sentence with the stress? Repeat after me. My phone's broken, so I'm going to buy a new one.
Try once more. My phone's broken, so I'm going to buy a new one. Okay, now you know the basics about sentence stress.
Okay, let's look at our suggested answers. Remember that other answers are possible. Next, let's try reading the sentences together. Repeat after me and pay attention to the stress. Could you get some bread from the bakery on your way here?
Try it once more. Could you get some bread from the bakery on your way here?
Let's do the next one. I heard that the weather's going to be bad tomorrow.
One more time. I heard that the weather's going to be bad tomorrow.
Let's try the third sentence. He has no idea what he wants to do after he graduates.
Again, he has no idea what he wants to do after he graduates. How was that? Easy? Difficult? Remember that you can go back and review this section as many times as you need to. You can also adjust the video speed to make it easier or more difficult. For example, if you find it difficult, watch this section again at 0.75 or 0.5 speed. Practice at a lower speed until you can pronounce the stress easily. Then, try again at full speed. Now, to pronounce sentence stress well, you also need to pay attention to the unstressed words in a sentence.
Here's a very important point about sentence stress, or any stress. Stress is about contrast. You heard before that stress means pronouncing some syllables more loudly, more clearly, and more slowly than others. That means that stress is relative. To pronounce stress clearly, you need a clear contrast between your stressed and unstressed syllables.
So, when you're practicing sentence stress, you should pay equal attention to the unstressed words. Let's look at an example, using a sentence you saw before. Could you get some bread from the bakery on your way here? You need to pronounce the stressed words more strongly, and you need to pronounce the unstressed words at a lower volume and higher speed. Often, unstressed words have a weak pronunciation. Knowing how to pronounce weak forms is also important if you want to pronounce sentence stress clearly.
Let's try something. Read the sentence. Make the stressed words as clear as possible. Exaggerate the stress a little bit. Pronounce the unstressed words as fast as you can. Try to get a really clear contrast between the stressed and unstressed words. Listen first. Could you get some bread from the bakery on your way here?
Now you try. Could you get some bread from the bakery on your way here? Let's do one more example with a new sentence. Look at the sentence. I haven't heard anything from them since their wedding. Try reading the sentence. Again, focus on the contrast between stressed and unstressed syllables. I haven't heard anything from them since their wedding.
It's worth spending some time practicing this contrast. If you can pronounce the contrast between stressed and unstressed sounds clearly, your English will sound much better and more natural. We were exaggerating the contrast slightly so that you could hear it clearly. It's fine to do this while you're practicing. You can go back and review this section or review the previous section and focus on contrast in your pronunciation. Sentence stress is flexible. It doesn't follow strict rules. Instead, it depends on the meaning you want to express. Sometimes, one idea in your sentence is more important than others. You'll add extra stress to this idea. Why does this happen? One reason is to contradict or correct someone. For example,
Buenos Aires is the capital of China.
No, Mikey. Buenos Aires is the capital of Argentina. Beijing is the capital of China.
2 plus 2 is 5.
No, Mikey. 2 plus 2 is 4.
Carrots are green.
No, Mikey. Carrots are orange. Another reason to add extra stress is that you want to contrast two ideas. For example, I didn't want cappuccino, I wanted an Americano. She doesn't live in Paris, she lives in Rome. The flight left at 10, but I thought it left at 12.
Finally, you might add extra stress just to emphasize one idea in your sentence, like this. Are you going to London tomorrow? Meaning, I'm emphasizing the question because I want a yes or no answer from you.
Are you going to London tomorrow? Meaning, I know some other people are going to London, but I want to know if you are going. This stress pattern is often used to show surprise.
Are you going to London tomorrow? Meaning, I know you're going to London on another day, but I want to know specifically about tomorrow. Again, this suggests that I'm surprised. In all of these cases, you add extra stress to one word in the sentence. This doesn't replace regular sentence stress. Instead, it's like an extra layer on top of it.
In the question, are you going to London tomorrow? The content words going, London, and tomorrow are stressed. If you want to add stress to emphasize one idea, then you add this on top of the existing stress. For example, are you going to London tomorrow? In this case, you add regular sentence stress to going, London, and tomorrow, and extra sentence stress to you. The extra stress should be stronger than the regular stress. Try it. Repeat after me. Are you going to London tomorrow?
Try one more time. Are you going to London tomorrow? Note that this extra stress can be anywhere, including on grammar words. So, now you know the most important points about sentence stress in
to know how to identify the primary stress, or at least to practice it when you don't have something concrete to work with. So, when it comes to stress patterns, here is something interesting to look at. When you add a suffix to a word, a suffix is that small addition that changes the meaning of the word and the lexical function. So, for example, you can say available, but if you add ity, it turns into availability, right? When we add a suffix, in most suffixes, it kind of like draws and pulls the stress closer to the suffix, no matter where the stress is at the beginning. So, for example, with the word available, here the primary stress is on the they, available, right? But once I add ity, it draws the stress, and the stress moves from available to availability. Possible, possibility. So when you add the suffix ity, the stress moves to the one syllable before the suffix. Same thing with ical, grammatical, technical, political, right? Politics, political. Now, I have an entire lesson about stress in words with suffixes. This pattern that I'm going to share with you is when there is a word with two syllables. If the word with two syllables is a verb, usually the stress is going to be on the second syllable. Complete, approve, create. If the word is a noun, the stress is likely to be on the first syllable. Apple, table, caption, right? Now, here's another example that will help you understand it even better. Sometimes there are words that are exactly the same, and the only thing that changes is the stress. If it's a verb, the stress is going to be on the second syllable. Present. If it's a noun, the stress is going to be on the first syllable. Present. Convict, convict. Record, record.